Alright everybody, so welcome back to Jim Bob's Garden. So today we're going to talk about bugs. How do I manage pests in my garden? Alright, first off I want to show you this. If you look around here, check him out. There's a butterfly just zipping around. Check him out. Is that a moth or a butterfly? No, it's a moth. So you can see I got bees everywhere. I got moths. Or a butterfly, I'm not sure which. I think it's a moth though. It doesn't sit still long enough for me to really tell. It's like going crazy up in there. Alright, but let me take you around and show you. And before we start, if you all can do me a favor and hit a like on this video and maybe subscribe if you're not a subscriber, it would mean a lot to me and it'll help me to continue to make more of these videos. Alright, so let's take a walk through my garden here. And I want to show you some of the things we have going on. Like here we got a pomegranate tree, a fig tree, a little tomato bush here, which is making tomatoes. And if you look closely, you'll see here and there like a little bit of pest pressure, like that's gotten chewed up by something. Something got to this. But if you look at the overall tree, it's still looking good. You look in there and there's one of my Ashia figs that's coming in. Alright, and they're getting bigger. And if you look over here, this is my cucumbers. Now my cucumbers aren't looking fantastic right now, but the dirt here isn't the best. If you can see when I push down on it, it like squishes down real hard. So it doesn't hold water very well. But you can see even on the cucumbers, I got some pest pressure here. You know, there's a couple other leaves. One leaf's died off. All right, got a couple more holes here. Got some sort of bug right there. Alright, let's see if I can see. Nothing under the leaf on that. But one of the things I do is you'll notice if you look around, like back over there, that's cilantro right there. This is a mustard. This is a different type of mustard. I got goji berries. I got some longevity spinach, the fig trees. Got some baby tomatoes over here, another fig tree. Just planted a papaya tree right here. Hopefully it'll come up, grow real big and strong. You look around and you say, how do you maintain this without using a lot of chemicals? Because how do I manage my pests? I don't. I let the pests manage themselves. Essentially what ends up happening is I just let them go and things balance out. For however many pests that you have, like army worms and so on, or hornworms and such, you'll find that you get a corresponding amount over time if you let it go. And I've let it go for some time. But if you let it go, what ends up happening is these populations will balance each other out. So you'll have enough of the predator bugs to kill off the non-predator bugs or the prey. And then some of the other things I do, like if you look in here, you see I've got onions. And in between the onions, I've got cabbage. Now cabbage isn't really supposed to grow well here at this time of year. But here I've got garlic, and I got some flowers. And in between the garlics, I have some new Swiss chard coming up. It's taking its time though. But it's not really the right season for Swiss chard either. So, but as you look around, you'll see that we do have pest pressure. We do have pests that get into the garden and start eating holes in things. Alright, so yeah, I've got holes in this plant. I came through earlier and picked some of these off. I don't know if I'll find any or not. There's a little spider. That's always good. Alright, let me see if I can find a couple here. Well, of course now I won't be able to. But you get these little tiny green worms that will crawl up underneath here and start munching away on my plant. Well, one of the things I want to show you first off is this leaf is still completely edible. Alright, now you're probably going to want to take the bugs off before you eat it, but hey, you know, a little bit of protein never hurt nobody, right? Alright, but like I said, the point basically is that even with a little bit of holes in it, it's still completely edible. All right, and you will find, if you dig around long enough, that you can find some of the pests that are up in the garden. They'll be up under the leaves and such, and if you look at the leaves that are getting chewed up, usually you can find them up underneath the leaves. So one of the things that's going on here, you notice I have carrots, I have beans, and I have peppers, bell peppers. Now the carrots I had well before I planted the bell peppers, but the beans will help the bell peppers to grow because they put nitrogen in the soil, and then having 3 different things all in one small space helps to confuse the pests so they don't know exactly what it is that's growing there. And then if we look over here, you look in this area here, this is what I call, or this is what is a square foot garden. And this is all about trying to suppress pests. So you'll see I do have some holes in the garden. Is that a bug? No, it's just another hole. And you know, I might be able to find a few worms up underneath here. We do get some of it eaten up. But a lot of what happens is because bugs hunt by color and by smells. And so there's so many different smells and so many different things in this area that you don't have nearly the pest pressure. Like I've seen a lot of times when, like this is a broccoli, where the broccoli leaves will just get chewed up by pests. And you know, I've got a few holes in them, but they're still completely edible. And by the way, if you don't eat your broccoli leaves, you really should. But I've got some lettuce in here. Oh yeah, and check out my wasp. I just saw him. See him flying around down there? So, can you see him in there? There he is, right over there. But you see this little wasp that's flying around. What he's doing is he's looking for bugs to eat. Alright, and if he can find a caterpillar, they love caterpillars. So he'll go in there, he'll attack that caterpillar and eat it, and we'll kill it off. Matter of fact, where the wasp is, if you look down here, there is some stink bugs. Not missed him. Dang it. But you'll get the stink bugs, and they come in and they also eat up your produce. And you'll see I've got a few bite holes and such. Oh, butterfly. But the wasp is here, and it will kill off the larvae, the small ones. Stink bugs are a little harder to kill, but then you get lizards, and the lizards will come and they'll eat them. And you can see that for the most part, most of what I got growing here is doing very well. All right. And this is one of the strategies you can use. Like if you look at this tomato, you can see it's got a little bit of hole right there where something got into it. But that hole is sealed back up and it looks like it'll be fine. Worst comes to worst, we'll cut out the damage and eat the rest. Alright, but the rest of the tomatoes are growing great. And I don't use anything whatsoever. No sprays, I don't use BT or neem or any of that to kill off bugs in my garden. Now, you ask yourself, okay, well, what are you, just lucky? Well, no, it's a strategy. So, if we lived in the mountains and there were deer everywhere and there were cougars that were killing off the deer, and we decided, you know, we really don't like deer because deer come in and they eat all my stuff. So I killed off all the deer. Then that year, all of those cougars would go hungry. And so the cougars would starve to death. And then the next year, whatever deer were left would overpopulate. And not only would there be a lot of pressure from the deer on gardens and yards and such, but you would also find that in the wintertime there wouldn't be enough food for the deer to eat. And so they would starve off in the wintertime. So by getting involved into the ecosystem and trying to make it fit to the mold that I want, then oftentimes, oh, check it out, butterflies. Get it. Butterflies all chasing each other around. You don't see that if you go around spraying everything for bugs. Well, back to my example. So you need the predator and you need the prey. You need both kinds, because if you kill off the prey, then the predator dies, and then the next year the prey completely go crazy and don't have any limits put upon them by the predators. So a lot of people were talking about killing wasps. Well, wasps are terrible. They kill off my butterfly caterpillars, and They kill bees. But that's part of the whole nature of things. All right, so if you go in and you kill off your wasps, and don't get me wrong, I will kill a wasp nest if it's somewhere near a doorway or somewhere we walk on a regular basis, because they become a pain in the butt, and so they need to be moved or gotten rid of. Now I usually don't use chemicals on them. I'll just use a hose and spray the nest down, and hopefully they'll go somewhere else and build a nest where it doesn't bother me. But it's really worked well. I mean, if you look around, everything is growing well. Seems to be doing fine. I do have bugs. I mean, if you look here, there's a bug right there. I don't know what that was. And I got my little dragonfly right there on my pepper plant. But I do try and do a lot of things. Like here, you'll see I have my pepper plants, which are just really coming up. I had a hard time getting them to grow this year. But I got peppers here, I got nasturtiums there, I've got some basil here. All right, and then of course my tomatoes and such over there, strawberries over here on the left hand side of me. So, if you have that variety, it seems to help. I've got my loofah gourd crawling up the trellis here. I've got cucumbers over on this side, potatoes. So by doing that, that helps to confuse the pests and make it to where they don't know what's what and where the good food source is. Another thing along in here and over here, you'll see that I have marigolds. Marigolds are great. They help to deter pests, but I want to tell you, I come out this morning and watered, and when I watered the marigolds, I had like 15 of the stink bugs come up out of the marigolds. They don't appear to be eating them, but they were definitely up in there. So that's what I do to alleviate pests. And you can see, looking around, I mean, I do have a lot of weeds, but I'm kind of contemplating whether or not I really want to be pulling weeds, but that's an issue for another video. All right, but you can see I'm doing quite well. I mean, I have in here, I have my carrots, which are growing fine. This is some buttercrunch lettuce. I've got some amaranth in here. My tomatoes are doing great. What's that? And I got tomatoes back in here growing well. They're all over the place. This tomato plant is doing well. It hasn't fruited quite yet, but it's got a lot of flowers on it. If you look behind, you'll see I do have some of the cauliflower back here. But even in here, what I try and do, if you look, this is some holy basil here that is starting to flower out. And then behind that, I have chives. And then back in here, I've got cantaloupe. And then some cauliflower here. Green beans, corn. And then I've got some cucumbers growing back in the corn as well. And on the other side, I even have some garlic. All right. So all of that, it's a intercropping essentially, where I put a lot of different things in with the rest of the garden to try and confuse the pests. And in a natural manner, it helps to suppress the bugs to a certain extent. All right. So if you were to ask me, what should I do? All right. How should I manage my bugs? Oh, check out the butterfly on the flower right there. We got a big old monarch. That's too cool. Alright. And one of the things people don't understand, monarch butterflies start off as caterpillars. And if you kill off caterpillars using BT, you will also kill off your monarch butterflies, your swallowtail butterflies, and all types of moths that you have. We have the giant swallowtail butterflies, which will like to feed on your citrus trees. And they don't eat that much. I mean, really, it's a small amount. But if you kill off all your pests, you're also going to kill off all the bugs that you don't want to kill off. Beneficials, pretty ones that you just like to see, the neat bugs that you are very interesting. We had this huge moth. I'll see if I can get a picture and put it in here. I forget the name of it, but it was big as my hand. Remember the mockery? It was really cool. But if you were asking me, what should I do about pests? My recommendation would be nothing. So we got this place 6.5 years ago. All right, and when we first got it, the people who were taking care of it used regular monthly sprayings of the yard to kill off bugs. And then after that, when we came in, we started using fertilizer on the lawn and granulated bug killer on the lawn to try and hopefully get rid of some of the gnats, because gnats here in Florida bite. All right, I've been a lot of other places, never seen gnats that bite until I got to Florida. I don't know if it's just a Florida thing or if it's just the southeast, whatever it is. Gnats here bite. So we use a lot of this chemicals to try and alleviate the problem with the bugs, because they were really annoying us. But then I started getting into the whole natural gardening thing and really understanding what was going on, and I thought, well, you know what, we're going to stop. And so about 4 years ago, we stopped using any sort of pesticide. The only time I'll use it is around the house, at the base of the house. I will spray a chemical killer and on the inside of the house, just to keep a lot of bugs from coming into the house, because I don't need a bunch of cockroaches and such growing in my house. I'm not that far gone into the whole nature thing. But other than that, we leave the yard completely untouched. And my neighbor does the same thing, and he's having the same kind of fantastic results over on his side. We do have some pest pressure, but for the most part, it's pretty minimal. And oftentimes what I'll do is I'll just wander around the garden, and when I see a pest, I'll squish it. Like I was talking about the marigolds. When I sprayed the marigolds, when I watered them this morning, I had, I don't know, about 15 of the stink bugs come up, and stink bugs will eat you out of house and home. So I went around squishing them. And that's how you get a green thumb, by the way. Squish a bunch of green bugs. All right, that'll give you a green thumb. But beyond that, I don't do anything else. And as you can see, I've got, you know, a fantastic amount of food growing. I've had a really good success so far this year. And, you know, we do have some pests, but nowhere near the amount that you would think is a serious problem. So my advice, if you're asking, would be just leave it alone. Let it balance out. It'll take a few years, but if you let it balance out, then you'll find that the pest pressures are nowhere near what they were prior to the balancing out, and as compared to what you'll have if you keep trying to use chemicals of one sort to control the bugs in your area. All right, so that's what I do. I don't use any kind of homemade sprays. I don't use any kind of bug killer whatsoever. And the best part about it is it's free. All right, I do nothing, and I get good results from it. And it's just not too often that you can do that. So that's my recommendation to you. But just like any other advice, you know, take it or leave it. That's up to you. Do what you feel is right. And thanks once again for stopping by. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. And let me know, what do you do? How do you go about preventing pests in your garden? And how is it working for you? All right. So thanks once again. Y'all take care and grow something.